As Newcastle have rejected a bid from Arsenal for their captain, and after weeks of speculation surrounding Guimaraes' future, the clubs are now in direct contact about a deal. Arsenal are discussing internally whether to return with a second bid for the 28-year-old who has 2 years left and an option for a third on his current Newcastle United contract. Dan, just going to start with you. Are we expecting Arsenal to come back in? Because this feels like already a transfer saga, even though the bid's only just come in, it's only just been rejected.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know talks are continuing between the two clubs. We also know Bruno Guimaraes met up with Newcastle yesterday as part of their pre-season plans in agreement with his club. But we also know Arsenal have been long-term admirers of the Newcastle captain. So look, I think the trajectory of this right now feels like Arsenal will come back with an improved bid. And at the moment, it looks like Bruno Guimaraes, might have been the last time we've seen him in Newcastle shirt last season.
Rob, look, we're going to show everyone the current list of Arsenal midfielders right now. I guess a big question is, it's figures touted around £80 million mark for the Brazilian. Does he start for Arsenal? Is he a bit of a luxury buy, maybe just adding to the quality they've already got in the squad?
Do you know what? I think it's a signing that has real intention. Because Champions League final, yes, Premier League champions, but what was maybe missing was a little bit extra in that midfield, especially last year, especially when you look at the Champions League final. And when you look at where do they want to go next, I think they're targeting somebody like Bruno Guimaraes and saying he takes us to the next level. What maybe the other players have, you look at Otamendi, you look at Rice even, what he does have is a bit of... Zubamendi. What he does have is a bit of everything. Can he score goals? Yes. Can he control the midfield? Yes. Is his work ethic incredible? Yes. In terms of breaking up play and understanding the kind of the rhythm of the game where you'd stop dangers, he definitely does that. So I think you have a kind of a player that has a little bit of elements of all the other midfielders. So I think he starts. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the whole Premier League.
I mean, that's a statement in itself. But do you think also, because of the reliance that Arsenal had on Declan Rice last season, the amount of games he played, we saw how he suffered for England at the World Cup, just a few weeks ago now. The sign of Bruno Guimaraes maybe takes off a bit of pressure on Declan Rice?
Yeah, I think the luxury, when you talk about luxury, the good thing is when you have Bruno Guimaraes, you can afford to give Rice extra rest. If it's going to be 3 games a week, well, okay, guess what? Bruno Guimaraes is the perfect answer for that. And there's going to be times, even in the Premier League season, where Rice was playing so many minutes and it's so hard and it's relentless that there's going to be times where Bruno Guimaraes is in that mold of, okay, he'll do everything Rice does, and maybe he'll add also goals from midfield. Because I think one area where, especially the 3 in midfield for Arsenal last year, they didn't have enough goals. They didn't have enough from midfield. And I think that's where, if you want to retain the Premier League, you need midfield goals. And I think Bruno brings that.
And Dan, look, talking about goals and Arsenal and, well, talking about signings as we are on transfer talk right now, Vinicius Jr, it shocked quite a lot of people when his name, first of all, was mentioned, and Arsenal interested in signing him. Should he decide not to sign a new contract with Real Madrid? Where are we at right now with Vinicius Jr?
I think we're very much, as Arsenal are, just watching his situation continue to, I suppose, develop at Real Madrid. Because, as you mentioned, the question is, will he sign a new contract this summer at Real Madrid? Because there's no way they are letting him go for free next summer. So they'll want a solution to that very soon. But Arsenal are waiting in the wings. And if they are to act, you would expect that to happen in the next few weeks. But look, for Vinicius Jr, we know he got back to training yesterday for the first time since the World Cup. And, we'll just see how Jose Mourinho and the rest of the Real Madrid hierarchy can either convince him to sign a new contract, or they might decide to part ways. But I think what we can take from this is Arsenal looking at their left wing and they're looking at midfield. And I think when you look at what Arsenal did last summer, talk about depth and versatility, they addressed that with looking at Noni Madueke to back up Bukayo Saka. They looked at Martin Zubamendi as midfield depth next to Declan Rice. They're now looking to address the depth and the drop between Declan Rice, if he's not in the team, with someone like Bruno Guimaraes, and an upgrade in that left wing position, which I think we could all agree after the Champions League final, that is somewhere they need to add.
I was going to say, Rob, look, Arsenal had a terrific season, winning the Premier League, Champions League finalists as well. Is that Vinicius Jr, that left winger position, perhaps maybe the missing piece of the puzzle?
Oh, yeah, I think when you look at probably Arsenal over the last 2 seasons, the one position, and maybe they looked at it last year in terms of when they brought Eze in, and everybody thought, okay, he fits into that left wing, but I don't think he really fits into that. I think Eze is more of a central dictator and an attacking player, but I think one area is that left wing. Goals, Trossard, I thought he was incredible. But on that left wing, somebody who can decide a game. And also the other thing is somebody who's a real, genuine superstar. Probably the best. If you can get Vinny Jr in, he's now become your top player in the whole team. Never mind left wing. In terms of goals, being decisive, the boy's done it at Champions League. And most games he is the decisive one. In terms of dribbling, he opens everything up. But goals, he's not afraid of the moment. What I love about him is he's never afraid of whoever he plays up against. Arsenal, that's what they need now. Because we're in a position that Arsenal could then go and dominate the Premier League for the next 5. If you want to do that, you go all out for Vinny Jr.
It seems like that's what they're all waiting on and seeing. But look, so many times we've seen clubs and agents negotiate, and we see clubs mentioned in negotiations for new contracts at their current clubs. Is that what's happening with Vinicius Jr right now? Is he and his team maybe playing Arsenal a little bit and using Arsenal as leverage to get a better contract at Real Madrid?
In all honesty, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I think right now probably those conversations between Arsenal and Real Madrid are happening, and maybe those tentative conversations between Vinny Jr and Arsenal in terms of, okay, listen, is he interested? First of all, it's the interest. Then is it anything more than just interest? Is he actually interested and he wants to start those conversations? Of course, they'll go to Real Madrid and Arsenal, have those conversations between the two. And right now, he's only got a year left. So which brings that conversation? Because Real Madrid will want to know right now, this week, are you staying? Are you going to sign a new deal or not? Because if you're not staying, yes, go and speak to Arsenal. Let's try and agree a deal. And maybe that opens up for Arsenal to bring in that genuine superstar, which I think that would be one of the biggest Premier League signings ever. I think if Vinny Jr was to come to the Premier League, especially to Arsenal as well. And you talk about, the old classics and the Invincibles and Thierry Henrys and Elkas, all of these guys. This boy is right up there with, as a signing, you would be right up there in terms of that. And it'll be interesting because that opens the door for Arsenal to become not just Premier League candidates, Champions League candidates. Because I think last year was, we're new, we're fresh, and we're going to challenge, and let's see where we go. If they bring Vinny Jr in, now we're contenders for the Champions League and the Premier League.
Yeah, I think first of all, Arsenal fans are going to love hearing that. Secondly, I think Arsenal are aware of the contract situation with Vinicius Jr, but I think they're probably hovering just in case he's ready to move from.
Good to see you though, Asmir. It's been a month or so since the World Cup breakfasts. What's your situation? Still on the lookout for a club?
Yes, I am. Training, keeping fit. Obviously, I had a really, really good summer, enjoying my time with the family. Enjoying some time off, which is always nice. And looking for the right chance to hopefully come up and take it on.
Yeah. What's your criteria? What kind of level are we looking at?
Well, yeah, criteria is quite a few things. It's never easy to put these things together. I think one of the biggest things for me is obviously my family. I've got two young daughters, and like to try and spend as much time as I can with them. Football is a lot of sacrifice in it, and the family have sacrificed a lot for me. So trying to spend a bit more time with them, that would be nice. But of course, play as high as possible, keep pushing, and hopefully help a team be successul.
Well, I mean, he keeps telling me he's very influential at Manchester United, so you should maybe sort of...
any check, go on.
I'll make some calls. Manchester might be a bit further away, though. That's not big. It's a bit
might not take every box. We can make that one work. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's get started then, guys, shall we? We've got to lead off with Bruno Guimaraes. Dan, bring us up to date here, because it seemed like Arsenal took an age to make contact with Newcastle. They have now, and it's been rejected, this first offer.
Yeah, and it felt like yesterday was the first step of what could happen in this potential transfer. In terms of, we had been talking for days that there'd be no club-to-club contact just yet, and then it came yesterday when Newcastle rejected Arsenal's first bid for their captain, Bruno Guimaraes. Our colleague Dharmesh Sheth has said that Arsenal are now considering to go back for another bid, which you'd imagine at this moment in time they will, because he is someone they very much admire, the Newcastle United captain. So that's what the next development that we're waiting for. But what we do know is Bruno Guimaraes did join his teammates yesterday in Spain as part of their pre-season camp that was agreed with the club. He'd been given a few more days off to do that, and we saw quite a classy gesture to the departing previous manager Eddie Howe as well, which by the Newcastle United captain, considering his situation, you have to kind of appreciate this as well, Asmir.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's not an easy situation for Bruno Guimaraes, and everyone involved in Newcastle. So much change, so much transition. But, I think last time I was on with you, the Bruno Guimaraes talk started, and I can only see this ending in one way, and that's in Bruno Guimaraes and Arsenal colours. It's inevitable, obviously.
You think there's no way that Newcastle can hold on to him?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think when the Premier League champions, Bruno Guimaraes wants to challenge himself, wants to play at the highest level, wants to play in the Champions League. So I think when the Premier League champions come calling, and the fact that Newcastle don't have Europe, and the fact that Eddie Howe has left, I think there's only one option here.
Yeah. From Arsenal's point of view, I've been speaking to some Arsenal fans about it, and obviously they're going to ask the question as well later on FC. Do Arsenal need Bruno Guimaraes? Well, what's your view on that?
Well, I think they do. I think they need to strengthen. I think when you're Arsenal and you're in this position, I think what's really key for Mikel Arteta, I think all the leadership, the board of Arsenal, Josh Kroenke, is to make the most out of this window. It's their window now to win, to be successful. There's no guarantees in football. When you're on top, I think it's when you keep your foot down on the pedal and you go again and you push again. I think Bruno Guimaraes would be that sort of statement signing, really in the heart of that midfield, to continue to push that team to higher levels. Because I think Arsenal's ambitions are now not just Premier League. Ambitions will be Champions League, multiple trophies, and go from there. In order to do that, you need the best possible squad. And I think Bruno coming in there, in the heart of that team, would add a different layer to that.
I also think it's the next step in the development of this Arsenal squad. I mean, we can look at some of the options they have in midfield. And actually, I think you look at last summer and you look at what Mikel Arteta tried to do with the depth between Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, bringing Eze and Madueke. You look at that midfield there and the options they have. You look at Declan Rice, for example, the gap to whoever comes in for him is quite significant. Yes, they brought in Martin Zubimendi, who maybe petered out a little bit towards the end of last season. You had Miles Lewis-Skelly, who had said he'd been training for 6 months to become a midfielder, who we saw start in the Champions League final. Yes, he's another option. But actually, what you want to see is two very, very strong midfields in the Champions League and the Premier League. And this is a great example of what I'm saying. Declan Rice, 3,099 minutes. Yeah. I mean, the maximum you can play in the Premier League is 3,400, around that. Oh. They were so reliant on him. You think with someone like Bruno Guimaraes, you have the option to come in for him or play alongside him. And that's what I think Mikel Arteta is looking at to really not fix, but add to what he started last summer.
They definitely need more depth, because you got the feeling, Zubimendi in particular really ran out of steam, didn't he, at the end of the season. But just looking at just the numbers there, so like now everyone's fit. You've got Marino as well there. So you're talking about, if Rice comes in, you've got Guimaraes, Rice, Zubimendi, Lewis-Skelly, Odegaard, Eze and Marino. That's 7 fielders. Can you keep all of them if you bring Guimaraes in? Can you keep them all happy?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think you can. I really think you can. And I say that because, one, I think Christian Norgard, I think he's been linked with Everton, so I think I could see him leaving. When you look at the last 2 years for Arsenal, we saw Mikel Merino play up front. We've seen Miles Lewis-Skelly play in midfield when things happen. Again, with this extended season that's now past us, with the World Cup, the minutes Declan Rice has played, again, the ambitions of Arsenal wanting to compete at 4 different competitions, doing all these things. They're going to be playing even more games, more minutes. So that squad's going to be stretched. So there will be definitely enough games, enough minutes to go around for everyone. Injuries are inevitable. They will happen. So no doubt that he can keep all these players happy.
And just to add, Asmir, you can probably better talk to this. If you're the Arsenal team, you've had a very long season. You've basically gone as far as you can, got to a Champions League final, you won the league. But to have someone like Bruno Guimaraes potentially coming into that changing room, that must be seeing the ambition of the club to go again.
Yeah, 100%.
Listen, of course it is, right? And we've seen there that Arsenal needs backup in midfield. But what should be the priority here? What's the number one priority? Is it getting a midfielder in? We saw there they've got some strong midfield options already, or is it improving the attack, in particular left wing?
That's, I think, another position they need to address, and I think they will address it without a doubt.
But should they not address that first?
Maybe that's depending on who's available. We all seem to talk about Vinicius Jr. and whether he's maybe that option. The only other worrying part for me is if I'm Arsenal, how injured is William Saliba? Mm-hmm. What is the deal there? How long will he be out? Because if this is really, if we're talking backs, these are very delicate injuries. Yeah. So I think if it's a case of him being out for an extended period of time, they might also, we saw them link with John Stones a little bit. I could see Arsenal dipping into that centre-half market as well.
Yeah, well, we'll wait news on that. They may well do that as well. What is going on with Vinicius Jr. then at the moment, Dan? Where are we?
Well, I think it's still a watching brief from an Arsenal perspective. I think they'll be watching even more intently now because we saw Vinicius Jr. rejoin his Real Madrid teammates yesterday. He seemed very happy. He was doing his medical examinations in the morning before they did a bit of a video diary with him on his first day back. And look, he's going to sit down with Real Madrid in the coming days, weeks, around what his future looks like at the club, whether he signs a new contract or not. Real Madrid seem very confident he will. They've kind of groomed him from such a young age to become this star at the club. And we saw him in the World Cup, of course, as well. For Arsenal, they're going to see how this unravels. And if Vinicius Jr. doesn't seem likely to sign a new contract at Real Madrid, they'll look to cash in. I think Arsenal are in the wings to make a move for him.
What is your thought on this? Because there's two kind of schools of thought, aren't they? That, this could really happen. This could be the mega signing for Arsenal. And then there's another group, Jay Bothroyd would be amongst them, quite negative on this, saying, Vinny, it's never going to happen. Vinny Jr. is playing Arsenal so that he gets a new contract. Which of those camps would you be in?
Well, that could well be true. I'm not on the inside with the inside scoop here in terms of what's going on. It could well be that he is using it as leverage for Real Madrid and making sure he gets the best possible deal. But in terms of if you're Arsenal, there's a possibility of getting him. Financially, if it's doable, to fit him into that left wing position with that strength in the midfield, with Bukayo Saka on the other side, Victor Gyökeres, Kai Havertz in the middle. Now you're talking about a real super team, and that should get Arsenal fans really, really excited.
I think to your point though, Matt, left wing does seem to be the area to strengthen, and I think it's a specific profile of winger as well. I think we saw in the Champions League final, they missed that direct winger who can take someone on that left-hand side. And, that's why Vinicius makes sense. That's also why there's probably a few other wingers who, if that doesn't happen, they can maybe look to pursue. Someone I'd probably throw out, I know his future at the moment seems to be Old Trafford, but I think Marcus Rashford, for example, would be quite a significant reinforcement on that left-hand side, who would immediately improve their situation on that side and is the right type of profile, I think, that would really be a different type of option for Arsenal.
He has been linked with Arsenal before. I don't think that would be a complete shock if that came up again. Right, Fulham have been active in the transfer markets yesterday, bringing in Gonzalo Garcia and Cesar Palacios from Real Madrid. Let's head to Fulham.